Good morning, everybody. Welcome to London Station. It's the London Hour. I'm here to share thoughts, commentary, and opinions with you about tabletop role-playing games and your other favorite forms of entertainment. And I'm standing, which means I'm about to sing a difficult song. Our buddy Vice finished up his donathon yesterday. He went for like 10, 11 days straight. And so he did a full karaoke stream yesterday, like a 6-hour set of songs. He's a mad lad. But anyway, it reminded me of some of the songs that I've been meaning to sing, so we're going to try one of those today. But I hope you're doing well on this Sunday morning. We're back with TableTopics today, which is maybe a name that's too silly, but whatever. Hey Thaddeus, how you doing? But today is going to be Immersion in RPGs, which I'm sure we won't argue about at all. Is he streaming today? That's right. He was like, oh yeah, my voice is gonna be shot for tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, your donathon naturally rolled into a normal stream day, or I think his timer got refilled right at the end or something. Anyway, happy for him, excited for him, getting after those dreams. But how are you all doing? Yeah, we're doing Immersion in RPGs today, which should be fun and not contentious at all. I'm sure we will all just perfectly agree on terms and definitions. But it's an interesting topic, you know? What is immersion versus engagement versus... I don't even know. We'll figure it out together. I did want to do some like actual academic reading on this stuff beforehand, but then I did not. So we can do that together too. And I really need to get my my tablet figured out. I might just have to do a Patreon-only stream where I try and figure out how to use that thing and not look like a fool while doing it. And if my lungs don't cooperate, I might not be singing the song at all. But we're going to try it. We're going to try it. It's another one of those ones I have to really go for at the top. So, without further ado, and if you're new to the channel, we do this sometimes. We sing. We sing to start. It's a good warm-up. It's fun. Sing along. Everybody knows this one. For some reason, I'm nervous that I'm going to butcher it, but this is what we do. We face our nerves. We face our fears. This is all these things I've done by the Killers. When there's nowhere else to run, is there room for one more sun? One more sun. If you can hold on, if you can hold on, hold on. I wanna stand up, I wanna let go. You know, no, you don't. I wanna shine on in the hearts of man. I want a meaning from the back of my broken hand. Another headaches, another heart breaks. I'm so much older than I can take, and my affection, well, it comes and goes. I need direction to perfection. No, help me out. Yeah, you know you gotta help me out. Yeah, oh, don't you put me on the back burner. You know you gotta help me out. Yeah. And when there's nowhere else to run, is there room for one more sun? These changes ain't changing me, the cold-hearted boy I used to be. Yeah, you know you gotta help me out. Yeah, you know you gotta help me out. Yeah, oh, don't you put me on the back burner. You know you gotta help me out. Yeah, you're gonna bring yourself down. Yeah, you're gonna bring yourself down. Yeah, you're gonna bring yourself down. I got soul, but I'm not a soldier. 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 Oh, time, truth, and hearts. Yeah, you know you gotta help me out. Yeah, oh, don't you put me on the back burner. You know you gotta help me out. Yeah, you're gonna bring yourself down. Yeah, you're gonna bring yourself down. Yeah, oh, don't you put me on the back burner. You're gonna bring yourself down. Yeah, you're gonna bring yourself down. Over and out. Last call for sin. While everyone's lost, the battle is won with all these things that I've done. All these things that I've done. Time, truth, and hearts. If you can hold on, if you can hold on, hold on. Passable. We'll take it. We'll put it in the passable pile. Anyhow, as always, thanks for indulging me. And I'm going to readjust my camera here. Am I? Do I have to do it like this? That'll work. I was just saying, with my microphone muted, that it was not a bad guess for where the camera needed to be. Not bad at all. Okay. And I don't know what my computer is doing today, but it does not want to load anything in Chrome. So hopefully that's not a recurring problem. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Zach. Good morning, D Priest. Was not perfect. Could have been better, but that's okay. That is okay. All right. Yeah, immersion in RPGs. What a quaint little topic. I was always known, I think, in the circles that I run in, if I run in circles, that I was kind of known as the immersion person. There are people who are more about it than me. Where are all my pens? So, the other day, I think I surprised a couple people because I went into Knights of Last Call and I made a comment about how I thought immersion was overrated and I needed a better word to describe what I actually think is important. Let me see if I can find it, because I'm gonna crib a little bit from the topic that we discussed on that server. Yeah, I said immersion is overrated and I need a new word for what I think is actually more valuable than immersion. But what does any of this mean? What does it mean to be immersed? And are RPGs really that unique in their ability to provide immersion as a, I don't know, as a vehicle for expression? So we're going to find out today. And I guess we're going to have to start with definitions, naturally. Because because we're going to be talking about immersion, engagement, and whatever other words that we think are going to be relevant today. Romance, violence, let's be chill and thoughtful. Immersion, I'm coming for you. Yeah. When there's nowhere else to run. Is there room for one more stream? It's an interesting topic, and I'm floundering to even get this started because there are so many entrenched, very intense takes on this. And I guess we'll just lay it out that there are kind of two extremes on either side of this topic. One saying if you're not immersed in your character, if you're not imbued into your character themselves, then are you even role playing? Which is, that's not really a good faith statement. That's a little aggressive. And then there's the other side who say you will never be this character. You will always be you. And there's nothing you can do about that. And you can try and rub sandpaper on the barrier in between the two of you, but you're never going to get to any sort of measurable quality. And I think a phrase that somebody was using the other day was the fidelity of the immersion. They're like, I just don't think it's worth my time or effort because it's always going to be so distant for me. And I'm not trying to put these exact words in this poster's mouth. So, but the concept is out there. You'll never be the character, so just accept that and move on. But then for me, I'm like, if you accept that you'll never be the character, and what's the point, and why bother, then do you just not even try? And then what does that look like? And it kind of can reduce things down to just mechanics, I guess. And you can play games that have mechanics that are around role play. So we got to talk about role play mechanics. What is a role play mechanic? And then we're going to have to talk about FBT and NMR. Bleed, yes, we're going to have to talk about bleed for sure, which is probably a term that I misuse. So correct me when I start talking about it and say it wrong. But yeah, there's this ongoing ships passing in the night kind of argument that happens in RPG communities about what it means to role play, what it means to immerse. In a very classical definition of role playing, if you go back to the early, the D&Ds and everything like that, the notion is you're playing a role, and the role you're playing is the thief who is good at picking locks and extracting loot from dungeons. That is your role. And when you make decisions in line with what that role is, then you are role playing. Which is an interesting take. Because if you were really liberal with how you applied that take of role-playing, you could look at any number of board games where players pick a role, and you could say, well, if you're making decisions towards that role, then you're role-playing. And that's where I think people start to go okay, well, maybe that's not it, or maybe the term has drifted, or maybe it's more useful of a term if we don't just purely say you're playing out your mechanical role in the fictional framework. Maybe it's more than that. And then on the far side, you have the theatrical people, myself probably among them, who are I'm going to create a character and their motivations and their passions and everything about them. And then I'm going to run every decision that they might make through this personality matrix that I've constructed for them, and I'm going to I'm gonna be the character. And there's actually two phases to that. And again, I'm kicking myself that I have not learned how to use this tablet yet. You don't want me to try right now. Trust me, it will ruin you. But even that point, the idea of creating sort of, and I had this idea a while ago as well, where it's all I need to know about a character in any given moment is enough context for them to make the decision that's in front of them. If I don't have the context, then I choose. Then I backfill in the context that would have made the choice for me. And so I'm iterating and building on the character as I go. And I thought of that as it's almost like a large language model. It's almost like you're seeding this personality matrix is what somebody called it the other day. And then you feed the inputs through, and then you read the ticker tape as it comes out, and you go I see, this is what this character would do. Welcome in, TJ Duck. I think that the difference is that the fiction generally doesn't matter in the adjudication of playing a role in the board game. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, you're totally right. So yes, I did make a leap there. Even in the original older style games, which I'm not an expert in remotely, you did have the fictional considerations, and when something wasn't explicit or prescribed, you would consult the fiction, and that's the rulings over rules style, right? When the rules fail to answer your question of the system, you, as a table, say, okay, what makes sense? And you do appeal to the fiction in that. So you are 100% right. But back to this like personality matrix, there's still even a difference between the player or the player who says, I've created this personality matrix for this character, and I'm going to consult it. And there's a player who looks at that as this external thing. And they're like, this is interesting to me. I've created this thing, and I'm distant from it, and I'm apart from it. And then there are players who say, I've created this thing so that I can put myself in the middle of it. And I can try and feel the things the character's feeling, think the things the character's thinking, behave the way the character would behave. And that is what I think a lot of people refer to when they say immersion. They're thinking of the player who is like, I'm there, I'm in the spot. And like from my role-playing journey, I think I was somewhere there nebulously around the like holding it out in front of me and saying, this is interesting, and I created this, and I'm going to honor and respect it and what the outputs tell me. And then also, I am this and I am in it. But something about that whole like I am the character never really sat right with me. And I didn't have a problem with it per se. It's that when I was talking to people about immersion or engagement in RPGs, they tended to think that I was that sort of person. And I'm like, no, I think you're strawmanning a whole bunch of people. I don't think there are that many players who are like, no, I become the character. Like, I actually become the character. I don't think there's that many players out there saying this. And yet, that's the... what's the word I'm looking for? There's a specific word for this exact thing I'm trying to say. That's the image. Whatever, I'll think of it. My God, that's going to annoy me. It's not even a complicated word. It's like 6 letters long. That's the image I think that people are like, oh, these immersionists, they're just off in La La Land, pretending that there's something else. I genuinely don't think there's that many people out there like that. I think that a lot of people are like, oh, I know I'm not the character. I'm just trying to do as much as I can to get as close as I possibly can because that has value to me. So that's kind of, and I can't survey, all of gamers to know this. I don't have a data center to calculate all that. But that's just generally how I think. I think that when you're having a conversation with a quote unquote immersionist and you're like, you can't be the character, they're just like, I know. Like, we're talking past each other here. You think that's what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. It's the Buzz Lightyear. Like, you are a toy. I think there is value in thinking about the why of people playing, engaging in these games, because the motivation, reason, and skill level informs the type of immersion. Oh yeah, we'll get there for sure. Thank you for bringing that up. A lot of people only do self-insert characters, which is a specific type of play goal and immersion / method. Yeah. So when I think about, I'm a broken record, I know, when I talk about this stuff. When I think about what I come to gaming for, I want to do one of 3 things, if not more. Learn about myself, learn about my friends, have new experiences. And I think it's the third one of that kind of throws people, like, have new experiences, but you're not experiencing it. That'd be the extreme end of like, you can't feel anything. And then the other extreme end is like, no, you don't understand. Like, I've made important, crucial relationships. I've had friendships play out in role-playing games that have changed my life and how I interact with my friends in the real world. I've had these experiences, and they enter into some sort of shared memory that we all have together of things that didn't happen but yet somehow did. So yeah, it's a hobby that for some reason has managed to attract like a diverse group, a very diverse group. I think that immersion is subjective, and that immersion itself is a spectrum ranging from 0 immersion to LARP levels. Okay, fair. Yes, that's not a bad idea. If we consider immersion as a spectrum rather than a end state on one end or the other of a different spectrum. I'm doodling here. And it's tough. It's like, because we still need to define that, because we still need to say, okay, what does it mean to be immersed? What sorts of examples count as immersion? What sorts of examples are yet somehow beyond that and something different? And when I was saying I think immersion is overrated the other day, I think what I was really saying is this image of like, I must be the character, I am the character, I must feel what the character feels. I think I just over time became more attracted to the idea of, and we should probably talk about stances, and I should probably actually read the article about stances someday, because I'm going to give you my method, and it's going to ruin you for all other discussions. I found myself more in the author stance, and just realizing that, like, I think honestly part of it has to do with launching this channel and talking about RPGs with you all, and just the more that I pontificate on things, the more my own styles become clear, because I have many characters, and I am interested in what they go through, and I am interested in seeing how they react, and I am interested in being surprised by them, and I'm interested in the challenge of voicing them. But I realized, like, that's not too terribly different to me than writing a novel, where I am controlling the characters, but I'm also respecting and honoring the truths of the characters. Like, we talk about narrative truths, we talk about fictional truths, respect the fiction, all this stuff in gaming just at large. And it's about, like, respecting the truth and the fiction of the character themselves. But also, you also know that you're playing a shared game with other people. And if you did something in character and somebody said, hey, I kind of have a problem with how that went down, you would roll it back, wouldn't you? If you're a good player, please, for the love of God. You'd roll it back. And I guess I'm genuinely challenging everybody listening. Like, you would roll it back, wouldn't you? Because you know somewhere deep inside that our reality, our physical shared space reality that is here, the microphone and the camera and the screens and this is real life. And role-playing is a part of real life. But we know, I think, that it's, I don't know. Like, if you have a role-playing moment and it leads to a falling out with a person, it's not that the role-playing moment led to the falling out with the person. It's that it probably just revealed something that was always there. That doesn't mean that you're prioritizing the role-playing over real life, because you can have those moments where you're like, you know what? Actually, you're kind of a dick. You can learn things about people and just be like, I don't want to play with you anymore. But I think we also know that, like, it's not real. It's a. I want to cook on this for a second. It's an additional reality. Like, an additional reality is maybe that's what I'm going to use for now. And the versatility of being able to be multiple characters, multiple times, multiple ages, multiple genders, multiple everything, and experience different things is incredibly liberating, and it allows people to do all sorts of self-discovery if they're up for it. And I will sing the praises of that to the moon, like, that's super important. So there's something here. And the question is, is it immersion, or are you just there for the gameplay? Which I always say every time I bring this up. If you want to go play a dungeon crawling game and you want to play the physics puzzle and you want to move your character around and calculate statistics and optimize for the best possible chance and roll the dice and see what happens and play through it, that is fine. Like, I literally have no judgment about that whatsoever. I will be over here doing the other stuff because I really love it. And you can be over there doing that stuff because you really love it. And that's fine. I'm really happy for you. I bet there is a second or third axis to the spectrum. Probably, and we're going to try and find it. Regarding Astro Prisma, the game gives you a spaceship builder and really cool map. I consider those play aids as being immersive as they contribute to the vibe you feel while playing. Interesting. Visuals. Visuals as immersion. Yeah, you know what this is making me realize, Zach, is that immersion, really, it obviously can be applied to a broad number of things. So my thought is immersion into a character, and that's where I've been focusing. But what you've made me realize here is immersion into the world is an entirely different topic, and it makes sense that you would be the one to bring that up. Immersion into the world, immersion into the themes, immersion into the genre expectations, immersion into the vibes. These are all different ways we can immerse. Yeah, that's pretty wild. It's like, why do people spend time making good battle maps when you could just have a grid? And when I mean just a grid, I mean like graph paper with X's and O's. Why do we do that? There's something there. We'll probably swing back around to it. I'm feeling like there is author, performer, internal emotive as several flavors or priorities. Sure. Good story, good performance, or authentic emotional line. These are all like sub categories of these other larger ones, and it's great. There's so much to talk about here. Suspension of disbelief, like when watching a play, it's not real, but you suspend your disbelief for the experience to come alive. Yeah, okay, but there are people who won't. I've talked with them. I've argued with them in good spirit, right? Where they're like, I won't suspend my disbelief. I know that I'm at a table and that I'm rolling resin cast dice to create this fake thing that's so fake. And they're like, I don't have any illusions that I'm gonna like pretend. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Min-maxing is fine. You just need to be at the table and enjoys it as well. Yeah. Absolutely. Vibes definitely feels like one flavor of immersion that many people go for. Maybe we need to write down the flavors of immersion. Some flavors are about seeking and obtaining an altered state perception of reality. Sure. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here, buddy. Yeah, of course it is. What are the flavors of immersion? And I mean, we haven't even gotten into like the why of immersion, because I think at this point in the game, the whys of immersion that's like the easiest part of this conversation, because I want to feel and experience different things, different to me. Same reason I watch a movie, same reason I read a book, except for I get to actively participate. That's the why. I mean, let me know if there's something deeper behind it. I think there's people who, for them, that's what they look for, that's what they enjoy, and they're like, yeah, no, it's right where it says on the tin, right there. I want to experience different things. I want to pretend I'm somebody else. I want to try and inhabit a different mental space. Yeah. You have beef with battle maps and how distracting they can be for players who fixate on random detail that actually isn't there. Funny. Folks who can't suspend disbelief are also fine and valid, by the way, and how that gels with others depends on the person themselves. True. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about can't versus won't, or not interested in, all of the above are fine. And I know that there are those with aphantasia who really struggle with the concept of immersion in these visual means, the placing of themselves in a space and trying to let that inform how they might be feeling. I don't know, for me, the biggest tool for immersion that I can think of is asking questions. And I don't mean of the GM or of your fellow players or even necessarily of yourself. I mean, like, ask questions of the fiction. The GM might not tell you what the weather's like, but you might ask yourself the question, what is the weather like? And you might not think to ask yourself that question unless you're having a relevant character moment that might be influenced or impacted by the weather, or maybe you want to add a little bit of flavor in, or maybe you want to, I mean, we do play by post a lot of people in our channel. And sometimes you're just like, I need a little something here. I need something. So no, I don't just say this line of dialogue. I say this line of dialogue, and then she wraps her arms around her shoulders and rubs them because the chill, like freezing fog of the early morning is like seeping through her clothes, whatever. And I think what's beautiful about that, in a sense, is you're building the world, you're building a moment in the world. And that moment, like all moments, is an opportunity. And so now you have this little floating little glowing little orb thing of opportunity. You now have a character who's like shivering and whatever. Now, is there another character in the scene who's like interested in comforting this character? Is there another character who's suddenly like, hey, let me offer you my cloak. Hey, I'll hug you and hold on to you and be like, hey, let's go inside. Like, you offered up an opportunity for somebody to interact with you. And so what stream was it were we talking about where I started talking about like surface area and like the fractal nature of things? It was the Lone Wolf stream. It's the same idea too. It's you're putting out hooks for other people to interact with and potentially, I guess, immerse in. Yeah. All right. Using flavors to be less judgmental. Yeah. We all enjoy these games for different reasons. 100%. Brains work in different ways. And this is the clutch. This was the key part for me in these discussions, is learning and accepting that, like, legitimately people's brains work differently around this stuff. And I know I'm drawing a lot of attention to this, and this might seem silly, but people's brains work differently with this kind of stuff. And when we're out in the real world and we're in the corporate setting and we take these personality quizzes because, you know, they're doing a team building and they want you to do the latest book that does yet another rehash of the 4 personality model, because there are dozens of the same model with different names. But they're fun. And then you go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that Jenny over here is like different in this way, and that's why she files her reports this way. And that wouldn't have never occurred to me. Now I understand why John is such a micromanaging boss, because this is how he sees the world and his role in it, and he's trying to earnestly do his view of what a good job is. So if we can assume and presume, whatever you want to call it, that we're kind of all in this together, this role-playing experience, and it's not going to be a personality type matrix where you're mostly one thing, not another, et cetera, et cetera. Here are the conflicts you might have. It's about how your brain processes even what's happening in the game, what you bring to as far as what you're interested about in the game, and sometimes those things might have a correlation. The way that you process might inform what actually excites you and what gives you the positive reinforcement and feedback you're looking for from the hobby. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of different valid ways to approach these games, and we just end up all kind of thrown in the same cauldron and bumping against each other, trying to be like, who put potatoes in here? Who's the potato? I'll say it again. Our brains work differently around how we approach these things. And my hope would be that engenders a sort of empathy to people who are looking for other things. I mean, we have players. We have a player in New Dawn that's been with us for a long time, and they're in our channel as well. And I'm always just like, man, I'm so sorry that New Dawn uses Pathfinder 2, because it's clearly not what you're after in gaming. Like, you clearly want it to be AD&D 2nd edition. And I wish it was for you, but it's not. This game doesn't care about the same things you care about. That's more of a mechanical system preference type thing. But we always have a good laugh around that. I think we have a good laugh around it. I hope we do. The shivering example: finding external details on which you can hang internal character experiences and actions. Yep. Well, and it's an improv thing too, right? Like, if you're in an improv scene with a bunch of people and it's stalling out, like, you are supposed to do something wild and completely, like, unpredictable. And the example I had, I don't remember if this was my improv group in high school that I formed. And I don't remember if we had, like, a guest come in and, like, teach us some principles or whatever, or what it was. But they were like, oh, like, if the scene is stalling, like, just throw your hands up and, like, jump backwards like something happened. And it's like, do you know what happened? No, you don't even need to know. You're just creating the stimulus so that other people can be like, what happened? And then you've created space and time to think and process and be like, there was a spider on me. And they're like, oh my God, like, where is it? Did it get away? Like, how big was it? Whatever. So yeah, you're putting things out there for people to latch onto, and this is, I mean, I didn't mean for this to be like a good role playing academy type stream, but like that is a good tip and trick for you. I talk a lot about in gaming how you get out what you put in, and with your gaming group, you also get out what you put in. The more things you throw at other people to actually respond to and be a party to, hopefully that gets reciprocated. Because if that's one way, that's going to get weary really fast. But yeah. And in the context of immersion, you are giving people more hooks to grab onto to immerse themselves, if they're the kind of player that wants to. An Obsidian Vault. See, I don't understand Obsidian. I couldn't. I'm not there yet. So you're talking about here, Zach, immersion in the sense that you're going to create everything you need all in one place so you can stay focused and not have external distractions. Is that what you're meaning by immersion in this context? Because that's another factor too. Distractions are an obstacle to immersion, depending on which type of immersion we're talking about. Others just think it looks pretty. I think there are some generally useful tips that are good for everyone, and that doesn't necessarily prescribe a certain flavor style of roleplay. Yeah. Well, I'll give tips when I know them, when I've learned them, when I've seen, sometimes I see players who don't know how to do that, and they don't give me anything to hook onto, and then I'm like, I guess the scene's over. Like I'm trying to put bricks in front of us that we can walk on together, and you're not, and maybe you're not, maybe you're not interested in the scene, or maybe you just don't know what to say or do, or you're fixated on finding the right thing to say or do, which can be a stumbling block. And it's like, I don't know. I've been in, and I'm like, guess I'll go have this robust scene with this character over here. And it's not because I don't want to have a scene with your character. It's that I'm not getting anything from you. Are you even having fun? I can't tell. I've had those moments. It just looks pretty and fits your aesthetic, which feeds into your gameplay. All right, okay. So you're a vibe immersionist. We're coming up with names now, and we're assigning them to everybody in chat, just so you know. So Zach is a vibe immersionist. Yep, we're naming and labeling people, because that always goes well. Phones at the table, major enemy to immersion. But here's the thing, though. Phones at the table are not. There's that extra layer of discussion about immersion of the people who are like, no, I don't even want to do that. Depending on what we define as immersion, which I really should have gotten a better definition at the head of this, but atmosphere, atmospheric immersion. I guess, when I think of like world building and scene setting and everything like that, like I remarkably do not do a lot of scene setting. I really don't. So I don't know. We can find out a name for me. I'm like, just like with my character, I only need to know enough about the scene in order to run it. And if you want to throw in an extra detail, or if I spontaneously want to throw in an extra detail, the blank canvas is right there. But if I'm already barreling ahead because we're going to have a conversation about, I should have prepped scenes today to discuss. We're going to have a conversation about, cooking spices or whatever it might be. And it's like, oh no, I have what I need to execute this scene. This scene for me is about this emotional moment between these two characters, and I've got everything I need for that. You can add as much detail as you want. In fact, there's been times where I've played with people who throw out more detail than I need, and then I feel bad because I'm like, I'm not actually responding to any of that. And so sometimes I'm intentionally like, I need to respond to the details in this scene so that you know that I appreciate you. Colin dubbed himself and you as skin changers. Oh yeah, that's I was expecting to talk about that conversation today, actually, because we had why did that even come up? We were talking about New Dawn. We were talking about the knowledge of the lore in the world and how there's a lot and how that could be intimidating for people. And then there were those of us on the other side of the conversation saying, like, you don't need to know. Make a character who wouldn't know, and then you're golden. You're fine, because what the character doesn't know, you don't know. They're going to find out. You're going to find out in the same breath. but as we had continued to have that conversation, a couple things came up. Like some people are uncomfortable with that. And I've always had a hard time too, because I'm just like, I'm the New Dawn historian, for crying out loud. Like, ask me a question about, this random farmer out in the town. I'm like, oh yeah, so 3 years ago we had a scene where this was the deal and this is set up. And I've had people be like, how do you remember that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's my favorite media franchise. What do you expect from me? But what came out of that conversation was really about there was a concept of like the desire to be a good player, and what we each for ourselves define as what a good player is going to inform what opportunities we pick up and take once we have an invitation extended to us. So I might extend an invitation to join New Dawn to Deep Priest, and Deep Priest might say, like, I don't feel like I could come in and be a good player for my own standards because I don't know enough about the world, and I want to be there to support everybody else. As a facilitator, I think was a word that we started to use. And because that's what you would expect of yourself when you identify, I'm not equipped to give that, then I'm not going to show up in that way because I'm going to feel bad about myself, even if nobody else has a problem with it. Because you know what you're looking for, and what you're looking for is that community, that facilitation, that like you said, you and Colin were talking about being skin changers. That as the way that you approach a role-playing group is you look around and you say, okay, what hole needs to be filled? And that could be mechanically, if it's a game that cares about mechanical party balance. It could be, thematically, the story arc, like everybody's a little zany, I need to be the normal guy. Everybody's really normal, I need to be the zany guy. And you're very happy to fill that role, and people like you are a godsend and a blessing. And people like me worry about you. And you're like, don't worry about me. This is who I am. And I'm just like, yeah, but what about your heart and your feelings and your emotions? Are you getting what you need? I need you to get what you need. So, because that's what I need. Empathetic immersionist. Oh, man. Hey, Pepper, welcome in. London's 3 things I'm trying to do. I'm definitely at have new experiences at my top priority. Yeah, that's one of the big ones. It's interesting too, because so going back to Astro Prisma, so we just had episode 6 yesterday, and it was awesome. And I don't feel London. I don't feel super immersed in Cadence's journey. It's not me. I'm not bringing me to Astro Prisma as a self-insert. Not this time. But my God, do I have so much empathy for her as a character, all this shit that she's gone through. And I'm piloting her as I'm writing the narrative scenes as we're playing Astro Prisma together. But I don't know that I would say that I'm immersed with Cadence. Which doesn't mean, I'm not saying I'm not connected to her journey. I'm not saying I'm not empathetic to her journey. I'm not saying I'm not engaged. I'm highly fucking engaged in her journey. But the word immersion doesn't seem to fit for me the way that I'm playing through Astro Prisma with Cadence right now. She, to me, is very much a character who I love and I want good things for, and bad shit keeps happening, and she's just trying to get by, and she needs some more money. For God's sake, she needs some more money. But she's like a character in a book that I really love and get to be a part of, giving a voice to her. And I have other characters that are much more self-insert, whether that's intentional or not. Characters for whom, I give some big, rousing emotional speech or something like that, and I'm like, that's me. That's me. This is what I would be doing in that position, because this character is basically me with a fantasy reskin and different experiences and different memories. So I have both. I do both. I like both. And it's interesting. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think players are like me in that sometimes you have more of this immersion and sometimes you don't? Which doesn't mean you don't care. Or do you think players tend to be mostly one style and kind of not the others? Interesting. We'll see when I catch up with chat. Part of your facilitation goal is to give people what they need for better immersion for them. Very selfless. I'm happy if I can pursue and exemplify the emotional truths of the character I'm inhabiting. This is my thinking face. I'm not glaring at you. I've been told my thinking face looks like I'm glaring at people sometimes. You are happy if you can pursue and exemplify the emotional truths of the character you are inhabiting. What this says to me is that there's something about the joy inherent in the artistic expression. And there are more words that are eluding me right now. I don't know. It's not honest representation. That'll do. We'll use the phrase honest interpretation. There's a better word, and it's eluding me. And that in and of itself is like for its own sake. That art form of pursuing and exemplifying the emotional truths of the character. Like every character, and I'm putting words in your mouth, so when I catch up with chat, you can fix all this. But every character, every opportunity, every NPC is an opportunity, a new challenge, a new puzzle. And you play through to find that emotional truth of the character you're inhabiting, and when it lands and you feel like there's resonance and harmony and consistency to what that character has expressed so far, it's like, got it, locked in. Like mission accomplished, kind of. I don't know. Let me know if that's how you feel. Great question, and the answer is no. No, I don't feel like I'm watching a movie when I'm playing Astro Prisma. I think it's probably just inherent to the fact that it's a role-playing game that has dice, has random resolution mechanics, and you can't anticipate the prompts you're going to get. You can't anticipate what you're going to find in the star system. And so you're not going to have, and I've mentioned this before, when people have said that to me, well, actually people didn't say this to me. I preempted it by saying, you might say this is like novel writing in the campaign guide that I wrote for New Dawn. And so I have this thought. I got some more books the other day. And I actually bought a book used from an author I've never read, Cassandra Rose Clark. And then I was like, is she related to Arthur C. Clarke? Don't know. But on the back it said, a good female-centric space opera. And I went, okay. I will buy. This book was an idea. And then it was a draft. And then it was a manuscript. And then it got put in the hands of, presumably, editors, publishers. And then, did you guys know, if you go traditional publishing model, you do not get to have a final say over your title or your book's cover? Did you know that? Traditional publication industry, you do not get to control those things. It's wild. That's wild. Point being that when I read this story, I am reading a edited, crafted, revised, perfect version of the story. When you're playing a role-playing game, there is no editing. You are always moving forward. And whatever happened in the past stays that way. You don't play out the whole RPG campaign and say, great first draft. Great first draft. Let's tighten some things up. Let's move that fight with the owlbear because it didn't really narratively hit at the right time. Let's move it over here and let's redo that. In a way, a GM is kind of a live editor shaping the pacing, structure, and story of a campaign. And that's really cool. But it'll never be like a published work because by the time you get this in your hands, it's done and it's been revised. And it is giving you a specific experience that it was decided by a group of people, the experience they want you to have. So no, when I'm playing Astro Prisma, I don't feel like I'm watching a movie. I don't feel like I'm reading a book. The nature of the connection between me and the character of Cadence mimics and mirrors the experience I would get from reading a book or watching a movie. Because I do feel once I've put it down and I step back, now I'm looking at it in the past and I'm seeing what's happened to her. And my hands are off of it now. It's been published, so to speak. And then it feels more like I'm looking back at a movie I have watched, but I don't have the feeling of watching a movie in the moment. Oh boy. There's an answer for you. You think I am immersed, it's just that my point of view is in third person. But if you feel your heart rate go up during exciting scenes, I consider that as being immersed. And that might be, this is where I said, I think in my little thing, I was like, we're definitely going to get into the weeds about definitions. I would say that my instinct is to think of, if there's such a thing as third person immersion, I would give that a different word. I think it's different enough in expression that I would want language to differentiate that from first person immersion. And maybe I'm betraying my own biases here. When I think of the word immersion, I'm thinking of first person immersion, like almost exclusively. And again, I didn't even think about being immersed in worlds when I came to this stream. So we're building the plane as we fly here. But I would say, and that's where I bring in the word engagement potentially. Like I'm very highly engaged. So I don't know. It's either we need another word further on this, like the synchronization with the character idea. We either need a word that's further along than immersion, or we need a new word that's in between immersion and I just wrote it down. Where did it go? I don't know. Engaged. That's the word. Anyway. Each of your characters, NPC or PC, gets a little piece of my soul as a connection to animate them. That's the most beautiful fucking thing I've ever heard. I love that. And I hope your soul regenerates, because I assume you've had a lot of NPCs and PCs. Just don't keep cutting. Refill the soul that you're giving to these characters. You're learning YouTube's character limit can't contain me. Yeah. Ecologies of immersion styles. Different flavors can play off of each other. Yeah, wouldn't it be so cool to make a little graphic of this? I love graphics. Try publishing is a tough world. Probably never enter it. Yeah. Well, maybe you will. Maybe you'll surprise yourself. It's rough and the rights can be sold to make a movie without your say unless you include that clause. Yeah. On Astro Prisma engagement. So you are spectating in many ways. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you all, those of you watching that series, like you're not even purely spectating, because sometimes we talk about what we think things are going to be interpreted as in the chat. So it's not even pure spectation from the audience's side. We all have these little porous points of entry into the story, into the world, that we can influence things through. So yeah, I am spectating in all of the ways that I release control. And this goes back to, I don't remember which stream it was. It was the romance stream, actually. And it was Kalana that gave me the idea, but it was something about, anyway, whatever idea she gave me, I turned into whatever you mechanize, you release control over. Because you say, I won't be deciding. The rules will be deciding. I won't be deciding. The dice will be deciding. And in a solo game like Astro Prisma 2, it's not just rules or dice. It's rules, dice, and prompts. If you guys are caught up on the series, yesterday we had a prompt that this bounty hunter ship basically just came out and straight out attacked us. They're like, we think you're with ISF, and we're going to attack you and raid you. And the prompt was basically like, you try to communicate that you're not who they think you are, but it's too late. That is in the prompt. So I can't then say, well, I'm going to try to communicate harder. No, the prompt told me it's too late, and we're going to blows now. And we smoked him. It was great. Stupid Orion Moth ship. I hate those things. And then we had an emotional fallout scene after the fact, because Cadence is upset about that. She's like, God damn it, why did they do that? We had to defend ourselves, and now they're fucking dead. And she's not happy about that. She's not happy about the state of the world. And that's been building as far as who she is and what she's responded to so far. She's really averse to this senseless violence, and she now has some context to do purposeful violence that actually matters, because ISF are fucking evil in our playthrough. They're really bad. So yeah, I'm a spectator to the prompt as well. And then it's like a cutscene in a video game. It's like you don't get to change what the cutscene does, and then it pans back and you get control again in your controller. And now you can move around and affect the world. So yeah. Oh wow, chat, you're going off today. I don't know if immersion can have a definition that is strictly defined. I think it's as loose as the definition of art and matters to people in differing levels. Well, that doesn't mean we have to be okay with it, Zach. That might be the accurate, hold the mirror up to the situation. I think you're 100% accurate about that. It has many different definitions and meanings to different people. But I think as humans, sometimes the work is in extracting meaning and getting consensus and getting on the same page. And that's why dictionaries exist in the functions that they do. Like, here's this arrangement of letters, and enough of us as a majority have agreed that this is what we are going to use this word to mean. And I always say words are granted power by consensus, and the less consensus there is in a word, the less power it has, because you don't even know if when you use it, it's communicating what you want it to communicate. Words are like delivery vehicles for information. And information can be abstracted even beyond language. Like, language is our best shot. Every language that is used on the planet, every culture, everything, it was formed to give information vehicles to people so they could communicate ideas. And it's just our best attempt. Every single time it's our best attempt. And that's why you have languages that like don't have words for different things and phrases that other languages do, because there's a cultural aspect missing, and that phrase or that idiom never would have come up to us, but it would have to them. And they were able to use that as a metaphor to express this other thing. And we're like, what? What does that have to do with coconuts? I don't understand. Language is always our best chance, or our best effort. And it is a poor substitute for mind reading. It is a very poor substitute for mind reading. That said, like, that's what I love about language. Language to me is like this beautiful attempt for us to try and know each other. I'm going to make myself cry. And I've had people in my life who have different theories on language, and it's tough. It's tough when you're not on the same page with somebody about how language works. And it's like, you know, we have semantic drift when words change, they like evolve and change as meaning gets attached to them. And it's a gradual process that's hard to see when it's happening, easy to see in hindsight. And you're like, this word used to mean this, and then over time it started to mean the opposite. And you're like, how did that happen? One of my favorite websites of all time is Etym Online, Etymology Online, E-T, whatever. I'm not going to spell it on stream. Don't make me do that. Don't know why I started. It's Etym Online, and it's a dissection of like how the words got their meanings, the root words from the different Romance languages in the case of English, and Germanic languages, etc., etc., etc. And I think it's fascinating. I think the Oxford English Dictionary is fascinating because it'll go all the way back and it'll say, this is the first time we ever fucking found this word being used. 1416. And I think I love language. And my heart breaks when people fail to communicate with each other. And their failure to communicate is sometimes a failure of technical knowledge of how to use language. Makes me sad. It makes me big sad. All right, players having big experiences, happy or traumatic, are what refill your soul. So you invest the shard of your soul, and then you're actually getting a higher return, your higher rate of return, depending on how traumatic the experience is, potentially. I observe an authoring, spectating oscillation. You and others shift between those engagements. I definitely do for Astroprisma. I think I definitely do for New Dawn. I think you probably hit the nail on the head. It's like passing a talking stick around a circle, you know? It's like, this is my time to create. And I have now created. And now I've given you something. And now I pass the talking stick to you. And that you can be you, another player, you, the GM, you, the rules, you, the prompts, you, the dice. I give the talking stick to something else. And the talking stick is going to come back around. And when the talking stick comes back around, I get to play with everything that's been generated as the talking stick has moved around the circle. And that is the playground of imagination. And you can do that being first-person immersed or not. This whole like first-person immersion thing, which is why I started the stream topic in the first place, is like entirely opt-in. It's opt-in, and I don't think that many people are doing the I am this character thing that other people decry. I just think we're talking past each other. When people say, well, if you're not immersed, then you're not even role-playing, I think they're wrong too. Because I think there's other terms. We got to fill in this spectrum with different terms to actually know and then identify which ones we think are essential to role-playing or not. If we want to have that optional conversation about whether people are actually role-playing right or not. Because guess what? You don't have to have that conversation. You don't have to call into question whether somebody is role-playing right or not. Because like we've said, there are a lot of valid ways to engage with this hobby. It is important to know, and there's value in knowing, the different flavors and styles that people use. So you can surround yourself with people who are going to reinforce the experiences that you're trying to have. That's where this becomes valuable. Not about who's doing it right or wrong, but what do you bring to the game? And is it symbiotic with what I want to bring to the game? Because they don't have to be the same. Like Deepre said earlier, there are flavor style overlaps that can work alongside each other and not have conflict. And there are styles that are going to have conflict every minute of every turn of everything. And I think that's the value of it, is that we can build up a language so that we can more easily identify who we want to play with and when. Because play should be joyful. Man, I'm really going for it right now. The concept of play, I think, is sometimes lost. We are playing. And I don't mean that in a dismissive play is not important way. I mean that in a play is actually really, really critical and important to get right, because I think it's I think play is some, how do I want to say this? There's something of the divine in playing. Role-playing games, sports, board games, chess, everything. There's something divine in that, I believe. Crazy thoughts today. All right, Little Moments feed Zach. Yup. You see this? With a lot of people doing romance too, it's fascinating as a bit of an outsider. As you mean the Probably the spectating oscillation, authoring versus spectating. Yeah, and that's very much a pass the torch back and forth. But now you're just passing it back and forth. If you're in a romance scene with somebody, you're like, I say this. Like, oh, I ratcheted up the tension +2. I hand it back to you. What do you do? And it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Holy chat. Holy crap. All right. Okay. Thaddeus coming in. For me, it's very much the detached observation and then thinking about what the character is as if they existed. Yes, as if. As if is like the phrase that I used in my articles when I talked about this. As if is the phrase I used. Because this individual who was talking about, I think it was Satanic Panic, they were saying like, I don't value this immersion stuff because for me it's always going to be so low fidelity, in their own words. It's not even going to get remotely close to what it would actually be to be an elf. It's not ever going to get close to what it would actually be to know what it's like to be hit by a goblin's rusty blade. And I said, okay, fair, but consider this. And I wrote up 2 examples. And in one of them I described in detail. I was like, close your eyes. Imagine a goblin's rusty sword has just sliced across your abdomen. Imagine that you can smell the iron shavings as they fly through the air, because we have very iron-rich water out here, and I've had to do a lot of plumbing fixes in my cistern, and I can tell you exactly what the smell of iron is. Imagine that you can smell that in the air, and this old rusty blade, there's clouds of this ferrous dust emitting off of it, and imagine the pain as it slashes through your abdomen. Just concentrate on your abdomen right now. You, the human sitting in the chair, concentrate on your abdomen. Imagine cutting. And sorry if this is too graphic for you guys. I apologize. I didn't realize I was going to get that graphic. But like, alternatively, say, well, you can never really experience it anyway. So the goblin slashes at you with your sword and you take 3 damage. My point was, whether or not you can actually get there, the first attempt example is going to get you so much closer. And if you value getting closer, not close, not there, but closer, if you place value on getting closer, then you are going to engage with immersion much differently than somebody who just throws their hands up and says, well, it can't be done. Now, Satanic Panic then in that conversation with me went on to say, to clarify some of the things that they were saying. And I was like, oh, good point. Like, really good clarification. I thought you were saying this, you were saying this. And it was, again, one of these, and I was trying to play devil's advocate anyway, but it was, again, one of these moments where it's so easy to talk past each other on this topic. But yeah, this idea, this as if. I wrote an article a little over a year ago. I'm going to go pull it up. I'm just going to go pull it up because it addresses this. And I talk about that as if. And the phrase actually that I really used for this article, in fact, I think I titled it. Hold on. Yeah, I titled the article itself, Imagine You Are This Character. So this was apparently spurned off of another conversation I had with somebody. And I gave roleplay a tentative definition as equivalent. This is me, a year and a half ago. Roleplay is equivalent to, for the sake of this article, immersing yourself in a character, acting as they would act, and conceiving of them as more than the numbers on a sheet of paper. I'm smarter than I used to be. That's what I said last time I tried this. I talked about setting your own win conditions and understanding that what you want to get from the table is your win condition. Games are a moment in time. They're not actually the rules. It's a combination of the rules and the specific people you have around that specific table at that specific time. But here was my quote. There is only one ingredient needed to role play, in my opinion. This is old me. It's a simple phrase, and it carries a mandate. Imagine you are this character. So I used to be way more on this immersion train, right? Like, you have to imagine you are the character. I don't think I would write this the same way now. And I might have to give it a shot. This might be my article for the Signal for this month, which, geez, it's almost April. I talk about backstory and how sometimes people bring too much backstory, in my opinion, but that's fine. Everybody does it differently. Anyway. Yeah, it was a good article, but even having just a year and a half of distance from it, I'm like, oh, I would change some things. But that as if is such a key phrase. And that imagine you are this character. I think imagine you are this character is an extremely effective tool for helping people who aren't exposed to role-playing and don't really understand what it means. Because they might come to it in a video game style. Like, well, I'm here and I have the controller and my character's there on the screen. There's a lot of distance between us and I'm piloting them, but I'm not them. So I don't know. I think it's a fun exercise. Anyway. I love this too. Sorry, I'm kind of lost in the discussion, so my comment might have dropped at a random time. That's fine, dude. It took me 15 minutes to get to it. So all context is completely lost to time. Pepper, still catching up. I find self-inserts less immersive because then I'm going to lean more on my own habits and ways of thinking, which I developed by existing in the real world and not in a fictional one. I agree with you. Sometimes I want that, though, and sometimes I don't. Well, I don't know. I think about Hanlon, for those of you that know New Dawn, and Hanlon obviously has very different upbringing in life to me. But then I'm like, does he though? Are the physical scars from his youth just representative of my emotional scars from youth? Are we really that different? So sometimes it makes it so that you can let the underlying subtext of the character boil away in the background and then address new things in the forefront that could be radically different from you, but you have a baseline. So I don't know. I mean, I think I could make a case either way. I mean, you clearly know what works and doesn't work for you. That's what matters. Immersion for me feels like an exercise in empathy with a character that actually inhibits the shared world we're creating through play. Yeah, I like that. An exercise in empathy. And again, like this is where I'm drawing these arbitrary lines, but I'm like, can we call that engagement instead of immersion? And can we kind of carve this pie up in a little bit different way so we have a better language model for how to discuss this topic? And the answer is no. The answer is no, we will not succeed. And the answer to this question is no. We have not defined immersion yet. But I'll let the YouTube AI summary tell me what the definition for immersion is after the fact. YouTube, we talked for 2 hours straight. What did we get up to? And it'll be like, sorry, you just talked in circles for 2 hours. Nothing came of it. Oh, you guys are so funny. Oh, I still really enjoying Every time you guys respect my pronouns and everything, it's just really makes my heart happy. So thank you. We're feeling various parts of the elephant and gradually getting to a definition. Is that what you think we're doing? Do you think we're gradually getting anywhere? It's a very immersive process of definition. Yeah. There's a reason it was fresh in my mind. There's a reason. Context missing. All right. Identifying styles and types can help us know what people's needs are and work together to ensure everyone gets something that's satisfying. Yeah. Agreed. The timelines have synced, and now I can experience the stream at 1 second per second. Yes, you can, but I'm still 9 minutes behind in the chat. Ooh. There is something of the divine in playing. Yes, I believe the table play space is a sacred space in multiple ways. I don't even mean it with an ounce of... I can't word today. What I'm trying to say is I like mean it literally, not figuratively, not metaphorically. I mean genuinely, I think there is something divine and sacred about playing in all of its forms, in any and all of its forms. And I think there's something extraordinarily special about playing role-playing games with friends and close people in your life. I think it's an exceptional bonding agent, or a really great tool to find out people you don't want to be around. Sacred should be protected, set apart, but also not profane/ordinary. It includes rituals and special practices. Yeah. I was playing devil's advocate with someone named Satanic Panic, and that's hilarious. No, that we had a really great conversation around that topic. I'm chewing on this stream like a super long-lasting mint gum. Well, I'm glad that I could freshen you up. Yeah, absolutely. TTRPGs have been used in therapy. In fact, I think like going back to the early days, even before role-playing games were a thing, I think role-play therapy itself was a force. And so yeah, you can be really intentional with what you ask a game to give you, and the game, as this abstract, esoteric concept, will, if it can, provide it back for you. And I think it's really beautiful. You can let the underlying subtext of the character boil away in the background. I'm guessing the heart fire emoji means you think that was a good quote. I hope so. Klopster really disagreed with Satanic State because the immersion I have felt dealt with emotions and choices, which is something we all have deep experience with. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely some nuance there, and but it was, what I appreciated about it was his takeaway from that was very clear. He was like, for me, I don't get value out of this, and other people do, and I don't even necessarily get it, but that's fine. But for me, I'm not concerned with how low fidelity. Again, this is the phrase he was using: the low fidelity of the informational transfer between characters. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll take what I can fucking get because I think it's awesome. Low fidelity or not, I don't give a shit. Put it right into the veins. But, and one of his examples was, you'll never know what it's like to be an elf. And it's like, true. Also, though, we know how elves differ from humans, and we've been humans. So it's about exploring what's different. And mostly in elf culture, from my experience of it, and different games, of course, approach elfness very differently. Pathfinder Galarian has how many flavors of elf? 20, 30, who knows? You got elves living on frickin' Castrovel and the capital city, Severian, and you've got elves in Keonan, and you've got elves in the Crown of the World, the Ilverani, you've got the Yakuje elves in the Mwangi Expanse. They're all fucking different because they're all people and different cultures, and that's something I really appreciate about Galarian, is that they have taken the ancestries beyond you are a dwarf, you are an elf. That's actually why I loved their character guide, which is one of the first books they put out for 2nd edition. It was almost, if not, a launch book with the original, the pre-master, which I still have to get my remasters up on the shelf. But like, okay, all of that said, you can read about different human cultures too and say, well, I've never experienced that. So I can't possibly know what it's like to be from Cheliax. I can't possibly know what it's like to be from Taldor. I can't possibly know what it's like to be in the realm of the Mammoth Lords. It's like, well, but I mean, they tried to help. They wrote whole books. They tried. You can't possibly know what it's like to be a Jedi, but you can watch Star Wars, and then you can imagine yourself as a Jedi. And this is like, they're like, here's some material. So yeah, just my point to it is low fidelity or not, I don't care. Give it to me. Give it to me. I'd like to think that in my Legend of the Mist game, we learned some things about what it's like to be an elf. I'm intrigued by that, and I want to know what you mean whenever you feel up for it. Sounds very cool. But I was going to say, elves are long-lived, and they're resistant to disease, kind of generally, I think, right? Illness, general illness. And they can die. They can be killed. But what is it like when, your parents are alive, and your grandparents are alive, and your great-grandparents are alive, and your great-great-grandparents are alive, and you're a 13-year-old elf kid? For that elf kid, that's normal. But for you as a human playing that's kind of weird, isn't it? I got in a fight with my great-great-grandma. So I went to my great-great-great-grandma, her mom, to complain about it. And like, what's the dynamic between a great-great-great-grandmother and a great-great-grandmother? Like, what's the dynamic there? Is that like mother-daughter, where grandma comes into a human mom and is just like, what are you doing with my grandkids? Is it like that? I have no idea, you know? So you ask yourself these questions. I think I said early in the stream is like a lot of immersion, a tool for immersion or engagement or whatever we want to call it is just asking questions. Ask questions of the setting, ask questions of the world, ask questions of fellow players, ask questions of GM, ask questions of the dice. Again, it's all about what you disclaim your decision making to. Whatever you mechanize, you release. Whatever you take as canon and truth from published materials, you release. And then you can inquire. You can have a conversation back and forth with those elements, and they will tell you things. And it's a creative game, and we know about rule 0 and just do whatever's fun, makes the most sense, and whatever everybody's happy with. So you sit down with people and you say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if in this setting instead the elves were a little bit like this? This is something I want to explore, and they all go, cool. Well, now you've verbalized it, and you've created another little floating golden orb of truth. And now you can ask questions of that. And you just bounce off of these things, and you let the answers guide you. You allow yourself you give yourself the grace of not knowing. How about that? And that goes into a separate, element of this conversation where, this is the meme conversation I've always had with Derek about how he says he's never had a character surprise him. And he's coming more from it he's like, well, the characters all came from my mind. How am I supposed to be surprised by them? And I think it's by radically embracing not knowing and then asking questions of all those sources that I gave. And at some point, one of them is going to surprise you. I just believe that. And I've seen it happen in my own life too much. And I saw it happen. My favorite example of this of all time has nothing to do with role-playing games. It has to do with a poem. I wanted to write a poem. So I went into, I don't know what channel, some channel on Night's Last Call. It was like, somebody give me a one-word prompt. Somebody wrote sea glass. And I wrote this banger of a poem. And I gave myself a 10-minute time limit to write this thing. And I didn't know what it was about. I finished it. Still didn't know what it was about. Something didn't sit right. I went back and I edited the last line, and all of a sudden the whole thing snapped into crystal clear, perfect view. And I realized that it was a poem about loss. But I literally did not fucking know that while I was writing it. Nor when it was done, first draft, nor as I was finishing the final draft, and only after I finished it did I go, oh my God, this is really heavy shit. And I said in that channel, I was like, this is how characters surprise me in role-playing games. The exact same fucking way. So, soapbox. I got a soapbox to give you guys time to fill the chat up, right? Like, that's how this works. That's the relationship we have. The party was all elves, the last ones in their region. Nice. The fellowship had the time-blind weakness, so whenever they took a sojourn, I decided how much time passed for them. That's amazing, Pepper. We had 17 years pass over 7 sessions in total. God damn, that's cool. That's some Legend in the Mist hype right there. That's so good. Oh my God. Talking about D&D elves, Zach finds it extremely weird and rarely ever sees anyone address that weirdness. Crosspaths elves have about 2-century lifespans. I think that's better. Yeah, I think that's plenty of time to have a significant departure from our lived human experience at double, Double on a good day. I mean, our life expectancy now is what? 72? We're going backwards. Good old humanity. You give yourself the grace of not knowing, also fire. Definitely not heartburn. I'll do it, man. I'll do it. I just need enough people to actually be here to watch it. Because I can't, I don't know. We can do one today if you want. It might not be any good, but that's the point. We are alternating between authoring and spectating here. Love the immersive demonstration. Good. You're supposed to love it. If you don't love it, I'm doing something wrong and failing. Oh, okay. Have I vented out all of my personal gripes veiled as a RPG stream yet? Let me go to that conversation we had the other day. See if I can pull anything more out of it. earnestness, that's like, I love the word earnest. That's why I built it into the whole channel description. Oh, I wonder if I could recite that for you. London Station is a community-focused coalition of friends, creatives, thinkers, and explorers. We celebrate, explore, and seek meaning from tabletop role-playing games and other adjacent hobbies. If you favor earnest role-play, good-natured discussion, or pondering the stars, this might be the crew for you. Welcome to London Station. Let's make new discoveries together. Hey! It's been a while since I tried to recite that. So, yeah, earnestness is something that I really appreciate. And earnestness, I think, is a cousin to engagement. And I don't know what else to say about it. I like it. I like when I can tell that the people that I'm engaging with across the table, across the intertubes, that they're taking it seriously, I guess, is the simplest way to put it. And I have to be more descriptive there, because when I say taking it seriously, it's like, well, what is the it that is being taken seriously? Some people take their mechanics really seriously, and I necessarily don't. Am I upsetting them by being bad at the game? Like, I genuinely feel bad when we go into like combats in New Dawn. I'm like, hey guys, sorry. I will make smart decisions in play, but I will not have a character who's actually prepared for what is supposed to be prepared. I do not have the right items. I did not bring the right power set loadout. Put me in this specific moment and give me the options that I brought to the table, and I'll go, well, this is objectively the best call. I'm not a bad player in that way, but I'm like, I'm bringing the curve down, and I hope you all know that. I just have a hard time needling over all the little details, and I prefer, as you know, taps the chart. I should get a framed picture of the chart and put it in my background. That's what I should do. That's what we're talking about. Because I'm at home in the 4 to 6 band. I'm like, don't make it super hard on me, because I don't care. I like combat. I like rolling dice. I like doing damage. I like the violence, right? Throwback to the last stream. I like those things. And I like it when there is a sense of tension and balance and challenge. But I do not want to feel like I'm letting my friends down if I don't make the perfect choice. So get me the fuck away from the 8 to 10 band on my chart. I don't want that pressure on me. And it's part, again, of why I love Pathfinder 2 so much, because it's fucking balanced. I like that it's balanced because it makes me not have to worry about letting my friends down. The truth comes out. That's why I like balanced systems. And, people who extol the virtues of unbalanced systems, okay, fine. But if I go into an unbalanced system, I'm going to know I'm going into an unbalanced system, and I'm going to adjust my expectations accordingly. Or I guess worse would be a balanced system that's really fucking hard to do right. And then you have that pressure. That's that societal pressure, the table pressure. And I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to ruin anybody else's fun by being bad at the game. So, anyway. Earnestness is a word that I'm all about. Resonance is a good word, but doesn't quite do what I need it to as far as words go. There's a straw man out there that like, okay, this is the topic we didn't talk about yet today. It's what my character would do. Anybody have thoughts about that phrase? It's what my character would do. Well, your character's a fucking asshole. So thanks for bringing fuckery and assholery to the game. Great. You're consistent with your dick of a character. So thank you. Thank you so much for your performance art. You piece of shit. But, I don't really have any strong thoughts about this. This goes back to, like, that conversation that I say I always have with RuneLord about, the passions and traits and the runes from RuneQuest and all that stuff, where I'm just like, I don't like the game telling me how I feel or whatever. And then he'll be like, but you chose those things. You made that character. That's the same way I feel about that. It's what my character would do. It's like, yeah, but you made that character and you knew it was going to be a problem. You knew that you were going to be problematic. Go find a group who's into that and have fun. We play a bunch of problematic characters that do whatever they want with no regard for the health of the table or the survival of the adventure at large, and we think that's fun. And when the thing inevitably tanks, we spin up a new thing and we do it again because we get our kicks off of that. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying find that group. Go play with them. They must be out there. But don't bring that character don't bring that mentality to a group of people who actually care. You know? Oh, my chat froze again. Isn't that wonderful? 6 minutes ago, my chat froze. All right. I thought you all would be just being quiet. We're so immersed in our immersive discussion about immersion. And what is immersion? It's all very immersive. I'm immersed. Are you immersed? Come to London Station. Get immersed. Get immersed, nerd. Oh, life expectancy recovered in 2024. Wow. Are we outliving people in spite now? Is that the new tactic? Oh, you guys even said the phrase already. Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, sorry. Chat froze, and I did not see this until now. And I'm like, oh, you know what would be a great topic to bring up right now? I love you guys. You're all so patient with me. Explain, Zach. This is fascinating. You have an example of what went wrong when someone didn't do what their character would do? I need that story here or elsewhere. Throw it in the Discord if you want to do it later. So what my character would do, it's an attempt to justify actions by appealing to a supposed shared understanding, but it's often insufficient. Which shared understanding do you mean? Let me see if I've already answered this. Either because it rationalizes bad behavior, or because we can't see in your head to understand your motivations. I think it can be used as a phrase by non-assholes too. Oh yeah, it can. Sorry. Yes, it can. I was just giving one specific, problematic archetype. Yes, it can be used by non-assholes, by people who are trying but don't have skill set. So here, okay. This supposed shared understanding. Do you mean at the table? I feel like in context that's what you mean. If the table all agrees, we're going to do what our characters would do, and we're going to play to find out, and it's going to be crazy. Okay. If not everyone is doing that, then I think the one person who is doing that, and we haven't talked about stances yet, I guess I would put them in actor stance. It's what my character would do. And there's other people in author stance who are like, yeah, but also I kind of hate the way this is going. Like, it's literally becoming not fun for me. And they're just like, then that's not, you're not communicating at that point, clearly. Yes, okay. So the shared understanding that we are all trying to act in character. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I found myself in the middle where I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to act in character, and I have, I think, maybe some sense of duty above the table to be a part of a shared experience with other people. Go play a solo RPG. They're fun. I've proven they're fun. The proof is on YouTube. But go do that, Or get people who are on the same page with you. But it's not going to go well if you have just the one-off in a group of other people, even if they're all trying to act in character, but they will pull back into author mode occasionally and be like, well, I would like to see this go this way. It's like, have you ever had a conversation with a character or a player? See if YouTube just died. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I'll go on anyway. Where they're like, I'd really like to see my character be challenged by this idea. And then all the other players in the GM can be like, okay, and now they're starting to percolate on what tools do I have with the characters I have available to me to kind of provide that challenge for them. This is actually another cool synergy with games like Legend in the Mist, where you specify, what your quest is. You have your 4 theme cards. Each one has a quest. The player is coming to you with a free-form fill-the-box thing about what their quest is. And they know, via the rules, this is the thing that's going to get challenged. I'm going to be challenged on if I can actually fulfill this or if I'm going to get pulled away from it. Because that's how the abandon and the improve milestone. That's how the abandon and milestone tracks work in Legend of the Mist. There is an inherent tension to the system where your quests are supposed to be tested. So they get to volunteer that information mechanically. Whereas other games, it's the same thing. It's just not mechanized. And so you just do it above the table. You say, hey, I'd like to explore this. And like your players, your fellow players and your GM and whatever, they'll figure out a way. They'll figure out a way to deliver that experience for you, for sure. Make a better character is always my response. They are not a program. You can change anything about them. Yep. I mean, understandably, though, Klopster, I agree with you, but understandably, the person who's going to be that's what my character would do would be like, no, I can't change the character. They exist as this pure narrative concept. I shaped them, but then I released them into the world, and I have no more control. And I'll tell you, like my phrase about character creation, I only need as much backstory to wind the top, and then I pull the string, and that thing just spins around. So I'm there for that. I'm 100% there for that. I'm just also, I'm falling more into the author side lately. And maybe it's because I'm finally reaching some level of critical character mass where I've satisfied that I am the character part of me, maybe, theoretically. And maybe now I'm branching out and I don't need to be the character, but I can also still be really invested. Is invested the word I've been circling this entire time? Investment? Engagement? Investment, maybe? I don't know. But yeah. What that entails is vastly different based on our styles, flavors, needs. Yeah. Stances for immersion. Yeah. Actor, author, peanut gallery, skin changer. Colville calls that's what my character would do the Wangrod defense. Is Wangrod a character in an actual play or something? Or is it just supposed to be a dismissive term for somebody? Like, you Wangrod? What is that? I've watched one Colville video. It's hilarious that I have this channel with how out of touch I am with all the people I'm supposed to be in touch with. Colville, Quinn's Quest, whatever, all these people. I'm like, good for you. Keep doing what you're doing. Go out there. Make awesome stuff. Happy for you. I'm just out of touch. My character would do whatever I say they do. The question is why would I make them that way if nobody appreciates it? Yeah. As with our discussion on Lone Wolf Wanderer, sometimes if we better understood what a player intends but can't articulate, we might be able to diffuse some conflicts. 100%. Wangrod is Colville's term for a jerk at the table that is cute and doesn't trigger the censors. What? So they're inoffensive in such a way that they won't get removed from the table, but they're in active pain when they're there. I can't possibly think of any examples of that recently. Yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, stances. I'll give you guys my read on the stances. It's probably wrong, and I don't care, because I found it very useful. I have not read the source article, because at this point, it's almost a joke that I haven't, and yet I use these words, which I have no right to use because I haven't done the actual research. So this is the London take on actor, author, director stance, which I learned it this way by listening to Derek, but I probably got some of that wrong too. So this is just the London version. Oh, so his videos don't get censored by YouTube. Okay, I see. The term is cute and doesn't trigger the censors. Got it. I wonder if I'm going to get censored by YouTube. I've really been cussing up a storm here, and I don't know what the rules are. Nobody told me. YouTube, Dr. John YouTube has not called me yet to explain the rules of YouTube, so it must be fine, right? Where I get value out of the actor, author, director stance concept is I say that they have to do with what decision matrix you use when making a choice for the character. An actor stance player will make a decision for the character based on what the character wants as their top priority. So it's the character's wants. I really got to learn how to use my tablet. Maybe I'll do that this afternoon. Let's just go. Maybe I might do a Patreon-only stream where I boot up the tablet and I figure out how to use this thing because I want to. Author stance makes decisions for the character based on what they, the player, wants. This is the experience I want to put the character through. This is the choice I want to see them make for whatever reason. The reason doesn't matter. It's who is making the decision. Actor stance, the character is making the decision. You're consulting that personality matrix and you are sticking to it 100%. Author stance. It's what I, the player, want to see. Now, if you craft a well-designed character, you can have an immense amount of overlap between the end result an author player and an actor player would choose. The end result, the decision that gets made, could be the same 80% of the time. But that's not what the stance is about. The stance is about from where did that decision get made? Where are you positioning yourself relative to the character? And also, I should be very clear, these are not personality tests. It's not like you can't ever waver or move between these stances. They are just methods by which to explore, as I use the tool, what decision matrix you use to make the decision. Actor. The decision is based on what the character wants or would want. Author. The decision is based in what the player would want to see happen. It doesn't mean you actually desire the outcome. You could want to see something bad happen. And then finally, the director stance. The director makes decisions for the character based on what they think the table or the narrative wants. So they're considering the end product result of the campaign, the story. The game that we talk about, remember when we had that campaign 5 years ago? They are making decisions for the character in that moment that serve the broader picture, and that is how I look at actor, author, director. The decision coming out of them could be the same, and you won't know which reason they made that choice. But that's the value I get out of that model. Now, is that even remotely related to the article that was originally written about that stuff? Probably not. And maybe someday I'll actually read it. But that concept has served me so well that I've not needed to go read the source material. So I just say it with a lot of disclaimers every time I bring it up. That's the London version. Cool? Cool. Cussing up a storm is what my characters would do, right? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be... maybe I shouldn't have my characters in Astro Prisma cuss at each other so much. It's funny, it never even occurred to me. Like I said, though, Dr. John YouTube has not come for me yet. What's left? Have we solved it? Did we fix immersion in RPGs? You guys got any other thoughts? Anecdotes, stories, tales. It's a big topic. I'm going to scroll through this conversation we had the other day, see if anything else pops out at me while you guys think. But we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. And when we do TableTopics, which is the new series name for these, by the way, TableTopics. That's kind of cute. Yeah, I have a hard time pushing these streams past 2 hours. They're heavy. And I don't prep them, so what do I expect? So, we've got... Did we fix immersion? Yeah. This is the check-in moment. We got to know if we did it. A tripartite model. It presumes there are 3 sources for decision-making: player, character, campaign context. I like it, and I wonder if there's another possible source for decisions. I don't know, but I'm interested in that as well. Because, yeah, I based this off of an existing model, so, if we're breaking from that anyway, figure out if there is a different motivation for making the decisions in the name of the character. I don't know. Let me know if you come up with anything. Now, I think this is Beowulf's model. A lot of you guys know Beowulf. And he's got like a 3-level model of immersion. Based on relationships between characters. See, I think that output could still... I think that falls in director. Once it's outside of the character and yourself, the player, it's like everything else kind of falls into the last one. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe there's gradients of director, where there are areas where you invoke that and areas where you don't. So maybe that's where it happens. Anyway, let me read Beowulf's thoughts, because he's always present in these conversations. Yeah, I don't know that these definitions like line up with the conversations we're having. He's just approaching it just from a different angle that I don't really know how to comment on. Apparently, 3 days ago, I made a comment about how I feel like maybe role-playing is like creating a work of art or a performance. And like any art or performance, you can still feel really resonant with that experience, but that it's still a work of art or performance. I don't know. Yeah, the other part of this conversation must have happened later, because I'm not finding it. But that's okay. I'm sure we captured everything we needed to capture. We fixed immersion. We solved it. What have we fixed so far? We solved romance. We solved lone wolf characters. We fixed violence last week. And now we fixed immersion. So it's great. We're doing good work out here. Anyway, I'm not finding it, so that's fine. Oops, I'm smacking my microphone. Let me see. What other thoughts do I have about this? I don't know. I came in this not knowing what I was going to talk about in the first place. So maybe we've exhausted it all. Immersion is a spectrum. We need to have a lot more words for it. I don't know. It's good times. It's good times. Oh, exhausting topics. Exhausting topics. But they're fun. Let's see. Let's see what's going on out there in the world. Nobody's streaming. Nobody at all. Yeah, if there's one thing I can do, I can get 2 hours out with no prep. Well, hour and 50. I can do that. It's going to be my calling card. It's a good discussion, though. Appreciate you guys being here. But the tank is empty. And I got to learn how to use this tablet today. So I'm going to wrap it up there. We don't have anybody to raid, which is like the first time that's ever happened. That's weird. But that's because Zach's here. Otherwise, we'd be raiding Zach right now. Hope you guys are feeling well over on your end. Cool. What should we fix next? If we do another TableTopics episode 5, what would that be? Wednesday night, I'm going to do Expedition 33. Requested by Min Andreas. So that'll be fun. Apparently, it's a really good game. I don't know. We'll find out. So I got to make a thumbnail for that. Saturday, Astro Prisma episode 7 it'll be. And my God, am I excited to get back to Astro Prisma. The world, we could fix the world. I mean, the tagline from Astro Prisma now is Unbreak the World. That's probably going to be the title for episode 7, Unbreak the World. God, that last scene I wrote. I don't know if you all saw it. It's like 10 minutes before the end of that stream. I should get the timestamp for it just so everybody like listens to that one scene. It was so fun. Yelling at each other. Kissing. Sometimes yelling leads to kissing, and that's not necessarily healthy, but it does happen. So, settings. Have I not already ranted all of my rants about settings? I don't even know that many settings to, I don't know. Is there a topic there? I could talk about how stupid Legend of the Mist Hearts of Ravendale setting is awesome. It made me care about it, which I didn't want to. I didn't want to care about it. Thank you for the great chat. I love these deep thinking streams. Thanks for being here and being a part of the deep thinking. This would have been a much shorter stream if I were alone doing it. It would have been 40 minutes and much more soapboxy. Yeah, I don't know what these topics just kind of emerge naturally, like whatever's going on. And I'm like, oh, that's another one. So we'll see. Well, I guess I'll share this with you guys. I mentioned this yesterday. And it shouldn't really change much, but I did go back in yesterday to my old second job, and they basically were like, yeah, welcome back. Tell us when you want to work. It was the most hilarious interview I've ever had in my life. I walked in, this other manager's sitting there, and he knows who I am. He knows my work ethic. I was there for 7 months from like October of 24 to like April of 25. And so I just walk in, I just have like a shit-eating grin on my face, and he's like, I saw your name on the application. And I was like, surely there's not that many of these. This better not be the same guy. And I was like, it's me. But they were trying to get me in a different department, and I was like, man, I didn't want to learn a different department, but like, it is what it is. Like, I gotta get some extra cash. So, and he's like, well, what's your availability? So I wrote it down, and he's like, that's not enough hours. And I'm like, how many do you need? He's like 25. And I'm like, I was hoping to come in and pick up like 10. And it was like this like quiet moment of like negotiation, like sliding the envelope across the table, unsealing it, seeing how much money's inside, and being like, this will work. It was like one of those dynamics. So I like grab the sheet again, I add a couple more available hours, slide it back. He's like, it's not going to work. Like, I need more in this position. And I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I get off my main job at like 6 on the other days. Then by the time I'm here, like, you guys going to schedule me for a 3-hour shift? Like, it's not going to work for anybody. So, I'm telling him I want to go back to my old department. And he's just like, well, it's not open. And I was like, we'll see. He's like, what do you mean we'll see? And I was like, I've been here, dude. I know people move around. I know you're all fighting over me. I was just being such a shit in this official interview. It was a lot of fun. But then he called my old supervisor in. She walked in, and she was just like, and he's like, he wants to go back and work for you. And she's like, okay. So I don't know when that's going to start or anything like that, but it shouldn't interfere with my stream schedule. It's going to make me a little more strained for time, but it just needs to happen. There's still stuff going on with my life that's not so great, and I need to do what I can control about it. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because you're all supporting me, and I don't want it ever to come across like you're not supporting me enough. Like, absolutely not. Not a shred of my being do I feel or think that way at all. The amount of support that I've gotten already is really hard to comprehend, and I appreciate every bit of it. And I would give all of your guys' financial support away to keep the support you've given me through exploring what being trans might look like for me. And so I didn't really know how to bring that up. I guess I could have just not brought it up and just secretly worked 2 jobs, but like, I don't know. I'm a transparent person. So yeah, I'll be working 2 jobs here pretty soon again. But that's actually why I was on the London Hour voice calls so much back in the day. Because, I'd get off shift at like 10, 11 at night, jump on the London Hour for the 15-minute drive home and talk to Pepper and Ford Prefect and TM Rawlings and the late night crew. So, anyway, I'll make the best of it. And, I'm just trying to be an honorable person doing what I can control. And the other people who are playing into this situation, they can do what they're going to do, and I will just take care of myself, and we'll do it together, because I'm not alone, because I have you guys. So sorry if that's too parasocial for you, but it is what it is. I'm a caring person, and I appreciate you. So thanks all for being here. Who am I sniping? Oh, the we'll see comment. Yeah. I'm getting back in that department. Y'all know I can. You all know I can run the forklift really well. You know I can. Great stream, took me through all my work, and I'm now home chowing down on food. Well, enjoy your lunch. I'm going to go do the same and think about how to use the rest of my day. Appreciate you all for being here. Do the liking and the subscribing, and if you're not a member of the Patreon, you're catching this later, join us, please. We're awesome. And it's not even, guys, I mean, I just talked about getting a second job. I'm not after your money. It's like $3 a month, and you can be in with us, hanging out, talking about stuff here. And Zach's going to give us a story about how a character, something went wrong because they didn't do what their character would do. So we'll wait for that with anticipation. Thanks, Zach. It was great to have you here. Love you, buddy. Yes, do all the stream things, the likes, the subscribings, all that stuff. Join us if you care to. We'd love to have you. And with that said, have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you next time on London Station.